6 years ago, during the Queen's 90th birthday celebrations, there were 15 working royals, family members who officially represent the monarch at events. Charles had previously expressed his intention to reduce this number to just 8 senior members, citing financial and practical reasons. With Camilla now Queen Consort, she would typically be counted among those 8. However, a recently released royal decree, formally signed by King Charles and Princess Anne, has surprised the nation. While rooted in tradition, the document subtly challenges expectations by notably omitting Queen Camilla's name, a move that has shocked palace aides and sparked quiet speculation about internal discord. Though framed as a standard reshuffle, the decree lists only 4 names: Charles, and William, and Catherine. Absent were Andrew, Harry, and most remarkably, Camilla. Insiders confirmed the omission was no mistake but a calculated decision, rich in symbolism. Traditionally, Queen consorts are included to signify their standing. Camilla's absence marks a significant shift, her once prominent role now appearing sidelined. Despite sharing the coronation spotlight last year, she's been quietly pushed to the periphery. Beneath the elegant decree lies a deeper story. The joint signature of Charles and Anne was symbolic, marking Anne's rising influence as Camilla's fades. Born in 1950, Anne was shaped by duty, not glamour, earning respect through discipline and responsibility. While media attention focused elsewhere, Anne quietly became the monarchy's steady anchor, taking on the toughest duties without seeking the spotlight. Her commitment and loyalty made her Charles's trusted advisor during times of change. When the royal structure was reshaped amid public scrutiny, Anne helped lead the way. The decree wasn't just a cutback, it was a shift toward clear roles, operational strength, and earned credibility over charm. Camilla, once a steady presence for Charles, increasingly clashed with the crown's modern vision. Her sincere efforts to match Queen Elizabeth's legacy fell short compared to Anne's strategic approach. In a monarchy pressured to modernize, warmth was a luxury it could no longer afford. And, though quiet publicly, warned Charles that spotlighting Camilla risked losing staff loyalty and public trust. The Queen Consort title, chosen by Elizabeth, was a clear boundary and was determined to protect. Camilla's omission from the latest decree marks more than paperwork. It signals a strategic shift in palace power toward Anne. This quiet move reshapes the monarchy's future, with Anne's influence growing behind the scenes while Camilla fades from the spotlight. But this was just the beginning. What unfolded behind the scenes would challenge the monarchy in ways no decree could capture. Camilla's name vanished, not by accident, but by design, from a royal document shaping the kingdom's future. Only 4 names remained: Charles, and William, and Catherine, the new pillars of the crown. While the public saw a quiet reshuffle, inside the palace it was a deliberate, unyielding decision. Camilla had sensed the shift long before. Months earlier, she embraced the spotlight with renewed energy, appearing as a modern partner to the king. Yet, the more visible she became, the colder the palace grew. Her presence stirred resistance among traditionalists still mourning Queen Elizabeth II. Then came Anne. While Camilla embraced change, and stood for tradition and loyalty to the crown over individuals, their differences led to quiet clashes, over schedules, protocol, and ceremonial roles. The tension, though polite, was palpable. Behind the scenes, Anne emerged as the monarchy's strategist, quietly steering decisions and stabilizing the crown. Meanwhile, Camilla's influence waned, excluded from key meetings and sidelined from planning. Her role shifted from partner to symbol, as King Charles faced a painful choice: to prioritize the crown's legacy over personal loyalty, despite his deep love for Camilla. No announcement was made, no cameras captured it, but the message was clear in what was left unsaid and titles withheld. Though Camilla still smiles publicly, those close to her say she knows the crown she once stood beside is slipping away. Quietly and strategically, her fall begins as a royal reckoning rises. Behind palace pomp, power shifts silently, through locked doors and inked decisions, driven by legacy, not love. Camilla's sudden erasure from the monarchy's future reflects old resentments and lasting scandal. Years of fighting for acceptance led Camilla from outsider to queen consort in 2022, a journey marked by resistance, backlash, and a past that refuses to fade. But in the end, she had won Charles's loyalty and a title that many once thought impossible. Yet titles in the royal world are as fragile as the trust they're built on. What many didn't know was that her elevation to queen consort had come at a cost, one wrapped in another royal scandal. The kind that didn't just stain names but stained legacies. According to royal expert Christopher Anderson, the turning point came when Prince Andrew's involvement in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal exploded. Desperate to contain the damage, Queen Elizabeth II quietly paid a private settlement from her own funds, money that, had it remained untouched, would have eventually belonged to Charles. Charles was furious, not just at the scandal or the payout, but at the principle of it. In that moment, the tension between mother and son shifted into negotiation. If his inheritance could be used to clean up Andrew's mess, then he too could make a request. Camilla would no longer be princess consort, she would be queen. Queen Elizabeth agreed. It was a quiet deal, one scandal wrapped in another, a mother trying to shield the monarchy, a son bargaining for the woman he loved. But the crown is a living thing. Its needs change. And when Queen Elizabeth passed, those old agreements suddenly felt outdated. Public mood had shifted again. Parliament was pressing for reform. The press asked hard questions. And on social media, it became a battleground. Was Camilla truly the face the monarchy needed now? Inside the palace, Princess Anne had already made up her mind. Practical and unsentimental, she pushed for a clean monarchy, streamlined, efficient, and free from reminders of past controversy. In her view, Camilla's presence complicated that image. Not because of who she was, but because of what she symbolized. 4 days. Charles struggled. He reread drafts of the royal decree listing the core royals who would represent the crown. Camilla's name floated in a gray area. Never removed, never confirmed. Staff described him as restless, torn between love and legacy. But Anne didn't flinch. The monarchy must be respected, she reportedly said, not remembered for its mistakes. Eventually, the decision was made. There was no statement, no announcement, just one signature. With it, Camilla's name was quietly removed from the document shaping the future of the crown. Her title remained, but her presence did not. When the leak hit the press, chaos followed. "Queen no more," headlines screamed. Camilla became the center of a firestorm she hadn't expected. One faction praised the move as justice for Diana, for tradition. Another called it cruel, a betrayal of a woman who had paid every possible price for a place at the table, only to be silently dismissed. Polls revealed a nation divided. But one truth cut through the noise. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And in that whisper, a queen disappeared, a royal silence that echoed worldwide. As the ink dried on the decree that quietly pushed Camilla aside, the reaction was anything but quiet. From the boulevards of Paris to the newsrooms of New York, the decision sparked a global wave of speculation. Not just about a queen consort's role, but about the very future of the royal family itself. If Charles, who had once defied tradition to be with Camilla, couldn't shield her now, what did that silence really signify? Was this a calculated move to preserve the crown's image, or the first crack in a relationship now bending under pressure? International commentators dissected every angle, questioning whether Camilla would now retreat from the public eye or defiantly hold her ground. In the tabloids, familiar patterns emerged. Camilla's name was grouped with royal women who had once stood close to power, then fallen. Sarah Ferguson, Princess Diana, and Meghan Markle. Each had once symbolized hope or scandal, now remembered for how swiftly they were cast aside. Was Camilla next in that company? Her removal no longer seemed like a quiet edit. It felt like exile. Yet beneath the frenzy of headlines and talk show chatter, a deeper anxiety was spreading. If a queen consort, once legitimized by both the late Queen Elizabeth and the crown itself, could be erased so quietly, then no title seemed safe. The monarchy, in revealing its ruthlessness, exposed just how far it might go to survive. This wasn't just about one name left off a page. It was a warning. The palace had shown its hand, and in doing so, hinted that even more upheaval lay ahead. Might be on the horizon. The public watched, waiting not just for Camilla's next move, but for what came next from behind the gilded doors of the palace. But what secret shifts are unfolding behind palace doors as the four key figures quietly redraw the lines of royal power? Stay tuned. The core four and the crown's silent revolution. And yet, the real message wasn't whispered, it was printed in royal ink, with Camilla's name erased from the decree. The monarchy quietly confirmed its new blueprint, a future ruled by just four figures: King Charles, Princess and Prince William, and Princess Catherine. No longer a sprawling web of extended duties and distant cousins, the crown has shifted its center of gravity. This is no longer the monarchy of yesteryear. It is a recalibrated machine built on strategy, optics, and survival. Behind the palace walls, this newly forged Core 4 is redrawing centuries-old lines with careful precision. Charles's long-held vision of a streamlined monarchy, once dismissed as an idea too radical for tradition, has now taken root. Every key engagement, from foreign visits to national ceremonies, is being consolidated under this elite circle. It's not punishment. It's protection. In an era where symbolism is scrutinized and every royal wave can trigger 1,000 headlines, trimming the royal family isn't about exclusion, it's about preservation. As Camilla quietly recedes from roles once central to her identity, her duties aren't left idle. Kate, already beloved by the public, is stepping into those spaces with ease. While and ever the tireless workhorse, continues to embody the monarchy's executive spine. This inner circle isn't ceremonial. It's functional. And with it comes a cold efficiency that has no room for outdated sentiment. Titles granted in more forgiving times are now being reconsidered, including honors still linked to Camilla. What was once her hard-won progress is now quietly dissolving in the name of evolution. Constitutional tweaks are already being discussed, and if enacted, they could lock this transformation into place permanently. For better or worse, the monarchy is no longer just reacting. It is recalibrating for permanence. Queen Camilla pushed to the sideline. And just like that, a woman who once stood at the center of royal transformation now watches from the shadows as her name fades quietly from the institution she once helped shape. As the monarchy charges forward under a bold, slimmed-down model, Queen Camilla's role is no longer carved in marble. It's being chipped away with quiet precision, not through scandal or outcry, but through careful strategy. Titles once symbols of honor have been reassigned. Ceremonial duties now fall under the control of Princess Catherine, whose rising influence is matched only by the warmth she draws from the public. This shift, long envisioned by King Charles and Princess Anne, now lives in action behind the palace walls. The monarchy is remaking itself, leaner, sharper, built to survive the demands of a skeptical age. Camilla's exclusion from the most recent royal decree sent a clear signal. Survival now outweighs sentiment. Gone is the sprawling tapestry of distant cousins and ceremonial handshakes. What remains is a concentrated force: Charles, and William, and Catherine, tasked with guiding the crown into a new era. Camilla's absence isn't just logistical, it's personal. And yet, even in silence, she hasn't surrendered. Within the walls of Clarence House, private meetings now replace public appearances. Her schedule, once brimming with garden parties and state dinners, has turned blank. Publicly, exhaustion is the narrative. Privately, insiders suggest something far more deliberate. Camilla, they whisper, is weighing her next move with care. There's talk of hand-picked journalists, of letting her story surface not in anger but in elegance, a slow leak rather than a shout. If this happens, it will be a direct challenge to the very core that pushed her out. But the strain isn't just external. Behind the scenes, her once indestructible bond with Charles has been tested. The man who once braved public scorn to defend her now finds himself split, loyal to his wife, yet bound to the institution reshaping itself beneath his feet. Anne's growing dominance and William's quiet support for a streamlined future have only added to the emotional strain. And then there's the frost with William and Catherine. What it is exactly, and how we can support not only ourselves but each other as well. Once amicable, even warm, those relationships have cooled. As Kate takes over key public duties with grace and acclaim, Camilla's absence becomes more than symbolic, it's structural. Every smiling appearance from the Princess of Wales only reinforces what Camilla no longer is: central. Still, not everyone believes Camilla is retreating. Some in her circle argue she's simply waiting, playing the long game. They see a woman who's endured worse and returned stronger. Whether she chooses to reclaim her voice subtly or steps back in quiet defiance, her decision could shape more than her own future. It could determine the balance of the monarchy itself. Because when power shifts in silence, the loudest move may be the one no one sees coming. But what if Camilla's silence isn't retreat, but strategy? Could her quiet return tilt the monarchy's future? Stay tuned to find out. A queen without a throne, Camilla's quiet reckoning. But as the monarchy adjusted its crown, one name vanished from the scrolls. Not with thunder but with silence. And that silence said everything. Queen Camilla's absence from the royal decree wasn't an oversight. It was intentional. Once central to royal duties alongside King Charles, her name has been quietly removed, signaling a power shift. Once a controversial yet resilient figure, Camilla now finds herself increasingly sidelined. Though she hasn't bowed out, insiders say she's retreating from the spotlight. Clarence House is quieter, her schedule nearly empty, and where her name once marked royal events, silence now speaks volumes. Insiders suggest the shift is part of a broader strategy, an intentional narrowing of the monarchy's public face, with Charles, Princess and William, and Catherine now carrying the crown's weight. I've been actually trying to keep quiet about reaching 3/4 of a century. Camilla's absence sharpens their spotlight, and for the firm, that's a visual win. A streamlined image of resilience, unity, and renewal in a post-scandal landscape. Public trust is brittle, and the monarchy needs its most unblemished figures out front. But this reshaping of power comes at a personal cost. Behind palace walls, the emotional toll of Camilla's quiet removal is said to weigh heavily. Charles, once willing to risk everything for her, now finds duty forcing him to step back. Though they appear united in public, insiders speak of growing tension and distance, especially as Anne's sway grows and William's vision sharpens. Camilla's ties with William and Catherine, once courteous and even warm, have grown frostier. Catherine, stepping with ease into roles once earmarked for Camilla, represents a future the public embraces more readily. William, ever focused on protecting the institution, is believed to support the reshuffling that left Camilla on the periphery. It is not personal, it's strategic. Yet for Camilla, it's deeply personal. And still, she remains, not in the spotlight, but not entirely in the shadows either. She's said to be considering her next move, not a grand announcement or bitter farewell, but perhaps a quiet, deliberate retreat framed as self-care or age-appropriate scaling back. Or maybe, as some believe, she's simply waiting, watching, choosing her moment not to disappear but to re-emerge on her own terms, in her own time. Because Camilla has never been the type to go quietly. Her journey to the throne was not inherited, it was fought for, inch by inch, through scandal, exile, and eventual acceptance. And that makes her absence now feel all the more striking. The monarchy may be realigning, but Camilla's legacy, unfinished and unresolved, hangs in the balance. As the ink settles on the papers that left her name behind, one truth becomes clear. This is not just the story of a queen stepping back. It's the story of a crown being reshaped, of loyalty tested, and of a woman who may yet redefine her place in history before the royal curtain falls for good. But what do you think really happened behind palace walls that made Queen Camilla vanish from royal duties without a word? Was it strategy, betrayal, or something more? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe.